In this video, we will learn about defining functions in JavaScript. Functions are fundamental building blocks that let you encapsulate reusable code. We'll see how JavaScript functions are special because they're treated as first-class values. So let us start with a simple function that adds two numbers together. This function is called total, and it takes two parameters, x and y. So notice the structure. We use the function keyboard to define function. We give it a name. We list the parameters in parentheses. Then we write the body of the function within the curly braces. We have a return statement that gives back a value and ends the function execution. If you don't return anything, the function returns undefined. This is, at least up to this point, fairly similar to how functions work in other programming languages like Java, C++, or even Python. One notable distinction, perhaps, is that you don't define the type of the value that you return. You also don't define the type of the parameters, which is, of course, expected because JavaScript is a dynamically typed language. So let us now talk about something that is fairly unique to JavaScript in comparison to languages like Java and C++. Functions in JavaScript are first-class citizens. This means you can treat them like any other value. You can assign them to variables, you can pass them as arguments to other functions, you can return them from other functions. So let's take a look at our earlier example again. Notice that here on line 5, I have assigned the total function to a new variable called sum. Now I can call the function using either name. I can use total or I can use sum. And you can see in this example, I'm using sum to run the total function. This is different from languages like Java or C++, where functions are in values and you can't assign them to variables or pass them around between the functions. Let's talk a bit more about invoking functions versus referencing functions. So it's important to understand the difference between when you want to call a function or when you want to just pass it to another function or store it to a variable. When you call a function, you would use its name followed by parentheses and argument. So let's take a look at this example one more time. So I have the function total, right? Here on line 6, I'm trying to call total. So I invoke it. I use the function name followed by parentheses, and then I also provide the arguments. All right. Now compare this to line 10 when I'm assigning total to sum. So sum is pointing to the function total. Here I'm referencing the function. I'm not calling the function. I'm not invoking the function. This is a function reference. So when you reference a function, you just use its name. You don't put parentheses in front of it. You certainly don't pass any arguments to it. Now, once I have assigned total to sum, this variable sum, you can treat it as if it was the identifier for your function. So again, you can go and invoke it by passing the parameters to it. All right. So we've covered how to define functions using the function declaration syntax. We talked about how JavaScript treats functions as first-class citizens and the difference between invoking and referencing functions. The fact that functions are first-class citizens have many implications, and it's one of the most important features of JavaScript, which makes it both flexible and powerful. And we're going to be exploring this a whole lot more in future lessons.